Welcome to Scoreboard, everyone.
Well, it was a clean sweep for Union County in North Jersey Section 2, capturing crowns in groups 4, 3, 2, and 1. This year, they only go half as well. As Matt just mentioned, Union winner in Group 4. And the winner in Group 1 had to be a Union County school because it was Roselle Park taking on Brearley in a rematch of last year's championship game that was won by the Brearley Bears. And Brearley repeated the feat this season, recording a 28-7 victory at the expense of the Roselle Park Panthers. Brearley finishes 9-1-1 on the season. Roselle Park finishing their year at 9-2. It is the third state title for the Brearley Bears under head coach Bob Taylor, winning the crown in 1981 last season. And this year, Bob Taylor will be joining us a little bit later on in the show. He'll be joined by Steve Mayer, and I'm pretty sure that Steve Mayer's first question will concern the very first highlight we're going to show you right now. We turn our attention to Brearley's first possession. It is 4th and 2, and the Bears pull a fake. The snap, instead of going to Scott Miller, goes to Mike Chelensky, and Chelensky has enough yardage for a first down. Mike Chelensky, the outstanding junior running back for Brearley, had a tremendous day. 28 carries, 161 yards, and he would score 3 times on the day. Here he goes one more time from the I formation. Chelensky up the middle. He, on the day, crossed the 1,000-yard mark. As much a credit to him as to the offensive line. And here he is, 2nd and goal from the 3. Chelensky scoring the first points of the ball game. Mike Vigura adding the 7th point, and Brearley leads 7-0 in the first quarter. Now we move to the second quarter. The score is still 7-0 on a 4th and 2 near midfield. Roselle Park tries on the 4th down, and they do not make it and turn the ball over on downs to the Brearley Bears, and that turns out to be a big play because Brearley then starts their own move. Gary Foucher, the fine junior quarterback for the Bears, who had 145 yards on the ground, picked up some yardage there, and again showing the play they showed so much today, the fake to Chelensky, and then Foucher moving outside. Foucher, 21 carries for the 145 yards, but Chelensky capped it off from 1 yard out, and it was 14-0. We now pick up action in 5 minutes later. Exactly the give to senior running back Jeff Norris, and Norris scores just before the half, and it was 21-0 in favor of the Brearley Bears. Third quarter action, a little bit of a strange play out of the back of the playbook. The pass from Steve Scribano to Mike Small. He laterals the ball to Phil Carpenter, and the old hook and ladder is good for 81 yards and the only points that Roselle Park would put up on the board. Roselle Park now in possession in the 4th quarter. The snap to Scribano, but he can't hold on to the football. And coming onto it is Mike Chelensky for the recovery. And several plays later, Chelensky would cap the scoring with this short 2-yard burst, and that would be all she wrote on the day for scoring at 28-7. However, on the ensuing kickoff, it appeared that Roselle Park might get back in the ballgame. This is Phil Carpenter. Remember, he showed some speed in scoring the Park's only touchdown. Here he breaks one up the middle. He looks to be gone down the left sideline. Joe Capizano got a hold of him and also got a hold of his face mask. So you add on 15 yards of penalty. Roselle Park is driving, trying to cut into the margin, but this pass from Scribano is intercepted by the same Joe Capizano. Pretty much atoning for the face mask penalty just moments before, and Brearley is able to hold on to the ball and thus pick up the 28-7 victory. Incredible stats on the day. First downs, Brearley 18, Roselle Park only 1, and that was on a penalty. Rushing yardage, Brearley 336, Roselle Park 35. Brearley ran 65 offensive plays, 33 of those in the second half. Roselle Park only 27 offensive plays, and 10 of those were in the second half. So you can see that it was a ball control game for the Brearley Bears. Roselle Park only had 107 total yards, and remember, 81 of those were on that hook and ladder touchdown pass. So the Brearley Bears capture their 3rd state championship and their 2nd consecutive title in Section 2, Group 1, beating Roselle Park by a final score of 28-7. Well, now move on.
Bob Taylor, the head coach of the Brearley Bears. A win over Roselle Park, 28-7, and congratulations, Bob. A job well done. This has been the game that you've been shooting for ever since you lost to Roselle Park in the 4th game of the year. And now that it's over, your thoughts?
Well, you're absolutely right, Steve. When we were 3-1-1, things were looking a little grim to many people for the Brearley Bears' future. But we didn't feel real good about our performance that day, especially in front of your TV audience. And we made a pact that Sunday night with our kids that, you know, we as a coaching staff didn't really have a good game plan for them, and they as a team didn't play real well. And if we kind of got our act together and made a commitment to work hard for the remainder of the season, we could get a shot at this club again. And it was very gratifying to have that opportunity today, and of course to take advantage of it as we did.
Let's talk about the game itself. You go for a fake punt early first quarter. That's a pretty interesting call early in the game. Why'd you do it?
Well, we have a lot of confidence in that play, and you know, that term has been used tonight by one of the other coaches, and that's Mike Chilinsky. And we feel as though anytime we put the ball in Mike's hand, with Bobby Canterman pulling for him, Michael Ramos blocking down, Brett Hubbinger was man-on-man on our tackle, we have a real good opportunity of making a successful play. They had made a great play on a fake punt in our earlier ball game, and maybe we just wanted to kind of get even with them for that play by Phil Carpenter in the earlier matchup. But I thought it was a real sound call, and we were prepared for that, and we prepared all week long to make that call.
Now, just from watching the highlights, it looked like one of the bigger calls of the game was that Roselle Park went on 4th down and 2, and you came up big on defense.
We played a really exciting defensive game plan, and I think our kids really rose to the occasion on this particular day. We had a great, what we consider a work-like attitude going into this game. We weren't going to play the big psych. We weren't going to get excited about the game. We wanted to go to work every day on a practice field. We wanted to go out there today in workman-like fashion with a good work ethic and play a good football game. We were embarrassed by our first performance against this club, and we felt as though they didn't respect us as we like to be respected in football. And some of the statements that we saw come over the tube, we weren't real happy with, and we kind of sensed that they had a false sense of confidence based upon that first game. And I think it was an advantage to us today.
You're ahead 21-0 at halftime. Now, by some standards, that might be comfortable, but I'm sure you knew that you had to come out in the second half fired up as well.
Well, the interesting thing about that, and you having Bill Horry on the color, was a great reminder for us all week long, because Bill's team in 1977 had us in the same position, had us very comfortable at halftime with a 12-0 win, and that son of a gun comes out and beats us 18-12 for a state championship. And when Bill came on the field this week to prepare for the color commentary, I mentioned that to the kids, and when we talked about it at halftime today, they knew exactly what to be ready for in the second half.
Now, you were probably ready for the pass in the second half. Were you pretty confident that here's a situation where you take away Roselle Park's run?
Well, we had a great run defense. We thought we were very sound versus the run. And in our nickel package late in the game, when we know they have to throw the ball, we can be very effective. And as you saw, Joe Capizano just made an outstanding play. And it was like we were turning the hounds loose up front. Tommy Ramos and Bobby Canterman especially had a great game. Scott Miller and Brett Hubbinger, the guys up front did a super job. Our coverage was there, and this is truly a team victory for our kids.
Let's just talk, though, about some individuals. Gary Foucher had a great game for you. Again, Mike Chilinsky had a great game. And you really were able to run the ball right at the park.
You know, Gary's a key to our offense, and he has been all year in a very quiet type of way. He's a very intelligent guy, and he's a calm, cool, collected customer back there, and he can take the heat and come up and, you know, he lands on his feet all the time. He made some great fakes out there, and it was very difficult to determine whether Mike Chilinsky had the ball or not. And I've got to say that I'm very proud of our offensive line, who you always credit for a 1,000-yard performance, but Mike got his 1,000 today, and it's the second time in his career. Got 1,000 as a freshman in the varsity schedule, which is very unusual. And I have a quiet confidence about myself every time I walk next to Mike in a hallway, because I always say to myself, I know they don't have one of those. And it's a bit of it's a good feeling knowing that we have such an outstanding, gifted athlete as Mike in our program.
You say you know that they don't have one of those. Well, what they don't have also, again, is a state championship. You're second in a row. It must be very satisfying.
Well, to defend is really satisfying, because we found out very early in the season that that people want you very badly, and they play very well against you when you are the state champion. And to defend, I give so much credit to, you know, to the union programs and the programs that are able to defend, because we found out this year that it's not easy. And we're so proud that our town and our communities of Kenilworth and Garwood can now brag about the guys that represent them in football as having 2 in a row.
Bob Taylor, the head coach of the Brearley Bears, today they won the Section 2 Group 1 championship with a victory over Roselle Park 28-7.
Wow, because all the games were played on the final weekend, or at least concluded on this Saturday. We don't have to put it off until time in. Last couple of years, we've always had a few games played on a Sunday that has delayed our unveiling of the final top 10 poll, but we'll take a look at it. And really, not much of a change in the first 3 positions from last week. Summit finishes number 1, Linden number 2, Union 3, and here's a flip-flop, Paul, from last week.
Brearley taking over the 4 spot, Roselle Park falling from 4 to 5.
And the rest of the, well, we'll give you 9 of our top 10, JFK, New Providence, Harrison, and Montclair. And the reason is we ran out of space. There it is, a 3-way tie for for number 10.
Scotch Plains, Belleville, and Verona all finishing at 6 and 3.
All right, now we had 2 games which we televised in their entirety today. We'll let you know when you can catch them. North 2 Group 3 final, the final coaching game in Howie Anderson's career. Summit versus Randolph tomorrow at 10 a.m., Monday at 8:30 p.m., Thursday at 8 o'clock. You can watch the Group 3 Section 2 championship. In your game, Paul?
In Section 2 Group 1, you'll see outstanding running from Mike Chalensky and Gary Foucher leading the Brearley Bears over Roselle Park. You can see this game Sunday evening at 9:30, Tuesday night at 9, and Friday night, the 12th of December at 8:30.
So congratulations.